Attention! Attention! Please direct your attention towards the front gates. One of our guests has completed their rehabilitation and is being released. Let's give them a round of applause. Good luck back in the world, civilian.
Now, if you're going to ask me how I managed to keep my prison jumpsuit this time, I don't know it's so much something I did as, well, something that's broken. But prison, has become kind of a main focus point of 3.9. And it's kind of a weird one, right? Because it's the type of gameplay that they want everyone to experience, but it's also the type of gameplay that you actually kind of want to avoid. It's sort of like in certain games, there are things that you do because they're fun to do, just because, they're exciting and they're interesting. Other times there are things in certain video games that you do because you kind of have to do them, right? They're kind of like your chores to power up your character, to level up your armor, to buy better add-ons for your gun, blah, 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 sword, shield, whatever. In most MMOs, generally you have that kind of daily chore thing that you don't really want to do, but generally isn't so annoying that it really bothers you if it's quote-unquote designed well. And I say it like that because, quite frankly, you should be able to get your chores done doing the things that you enjoy, but that's, in an ideal scenario. I realize that not everything appeals to everyone, so that's kind of, it's not exactly something that's easy to do. But one of the things that I've been experimenting with is trying to kind of figure out a way to kind of enjoy a broader amount of the pirate activities in Star Citizen, whilst also kind of weaving in not getting caught. I think that at some point in the future, it's going to be kind of important. And I kind of keep finding myself getting stuck in this trap, and it's just the same trap that, I've debated so many times before, just in videos and with other players and stuff like that, which is, in Stanton, it's very difficult to get a crime stat rating and still remain profitable. It's easy to kind of get a crime stat rating, maintain it, and not get caught. That's not really that tough. But at the different points where you have to kind of interact with the game, whether it's at SPK or at missions or landing sites and things like that, these kind of choke points are where you can kind of get trapped, especially if you're having to do things like missions and whatnot to make money, to buy guns, to get armor, to get add-ons for your ship, that sort of thing. As soon as you go down the criminal path, you're very heavily crippled in terms of doing progression. You can just PvP for the hell of it and enjoy it, and that's fine. But in terms of progression, it's very difficult. Now, is it supposed to be that way? And arguably, yes. Arguably, it is supposed to be that way, because you have to remember that Stanton is considered a high security system. So we shouldn't just be able to run rampant through Stanton. And so while all the pieces are there to allow us to kind of enjoy, the different aspects of piracy, in truth, we are existing in a system that is considered high security. So it's going to be very difficult to kind of do these things and maintain profitability. And I just kind of keep coming back to the same conclusion, that the only thing that really is compatible with living the criminal lifestyle in Star Citizen and making any kind of real meaningful progression is smuggling. It's the only thing that really works. Once you get into your smuggling ship, whichever ship that may be, you're pretty much, that's your bread and butter in terms of making money. There are other ways to do it. Of course, you can buy drugs, but then you have to, when you go to sell them, you're trapped within that timer of how much can you sell over how much time, and every time you test it, it's just like, no, it still sucks, still broken. And so you're kind of pigeonholed into smuggling and smuggling only. But realistically, counter argument, isn't that the way it's supposed to be in a high security system, where smuggling would be your kind of bread and butter, and things like straight up piracy would be very difficult to do and get away with and still keep profitable in an area like this, right? Now, I feel that in a weird way, it is kind of the way it should be, right? I do kind of believe that it is the way it should be in a high security system. Now, if we had Pyro, I think Pyro would kind of be the inverse. Pyro would be an area where it would be reasonable to make profits as a pirate in a system like that. But, for a legitimate player, a law-abiding player, it might be more challenging to kind of work out of those systems and remain, kind of like fluid, to remain, kind of at a point where you're constantly making money, like you would be if you were doing something more sedate, like just hauling cargo in Stanton. Barring the odd 30K disconnect, or the frighteningly frequent 30K disconnects these days. That should be like your bread and butter, and that should be reasonably profitable and safe in a high security system. Whereas Pyro, I think that piracy is really going to see its heyday. The downside to how it exists now is the fact that I find that nowadays when I'm smuggling and I'm out making money, like I really don't even fuss over equipping weapons or equipping armor anymore. I mean, I did all of these deliveries using my prison jumpsuit just because, it's cool. I like to have it on. And to be frank, I just really don't care, and that's kind of a shitty thing. That's kind of not a great thing to say. It's like, I'm just doing it to make money, and really, I don't care. And it's kind of gotten to that point of just kind of logging in and doing my dailies, making a little bit more money, and then bouncing. And, if my ship gets blown up, well, who cares? I kind of came into 3.9 with bigger aspirations and bigger hopes for how all this was going to play out. But I find myself just kind of like, the missions, the smuggling missions have kind of moved around. You got to kind of hang out around Everest Harbor, pick up missions at Orinth, take them to the orphanage, or vice versa. You start out at ArCorp and then you take stuff to Orinth and, drop off a few things around Yellen and Chellen and all that. But it's, I don't know. It just, I understand that this is kind of the way that ideally the Stanton system is going to work, but in terms of the criminal lifestyle, it just feels all like a little bit boring, and let's be honest, prison is great, prison is interesting, but prison in the end is the gameplay system that you don't really want to play. It's the gameplay system that you go, you check out, and you go like, this is going to suck. I don't ever want to do this again. Well, some people say, oh, yeah, well, no, then you should never commit a crime. It's like, no. I just don't ever want to get caught again, so I'm going to kind of pick the middle road and not try to make a name for myself or anything like that in the universe, especially in the eyes of the authorities. Now, I don't want to sound like an ingrate, but, while prison gameplay is a huge chunk of content that was developed exclusively for the criminal element in Star Citizen, at the same time, it was not to our benefit, really. It's more to the benefit of the law-abiding players. And I don't know, I look at the possibilities of, you know what, I could just slow boat it to riches, smuggling, and that would be just nice and safe. But it's really not all that interesting. I'm grateful for the prison content. I realize the benefit that it's going to have for the community, and I totally agree with it. I am one of those players that totally agrees with the prisons and the penalty system. But at the same time, I kind of wish there was something more happening. I wish like the Ninetails and the Dusters would get into a turf war, and we could participate in that. And, as soon as the cops show up and try to wrangle everyone up, we all scatter. Something like that. Something interesting. Something fun. Because, prison gameplay was catered towards pirates, but it's the gameplay that you want to avoid. I just wish there was something like hacking or data running or something else like that could be brought in just to kind of, give us something more to do that was profitable, that was interesting, because an entire summer of smuggling, it really doesn't seem all that interesting. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.